guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Recent Record Reviews, otherwise known as Triple R. I'm Hits.
And I'm Dan.
And we're here to review records that are...
recent.
Yeah, we're not in a good mood today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me so. Okay, the first album we'll be talking about is actually Singapore post-hardcore band the Caulfield Cult with their third album called Cult. So the Caulfield Cult is a band in Singapore that has been around since for the good half of this decade.
Yeah, a very long time.
Yeah. So this is their third album, and ever since their second album, things can only go worse from here. They've actually been touring non-stop.
Crazy,
crazy. They've been playing shows all around the world, especially in the US as well and Europe. So
they are about to embark on like an 18-city European tour in May, which is mind-boggling. And they do it DIY, like the old school way, like they sleep on couches and shit. So it's awesome. I really admire your work.
Like big props, yeah.
So
this is their third album called Cult. It's actually a 22-minute album, so it's actually really short.
Yeah, although it's like 10 songs, but you know, each song's about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Oh man, like I really like this album. This might actually be my favorite of the Caulfield Cult albums. There's a live aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Like I like how clean and minimalist like their production is.
It's very no frills. Yeah.
Very no frills. Yeah, and like it reminds me of a Caulfield Cult live, which is not a bad thing. If you've ever seen Caulfield Cult live, you know they're a great live band. This is a great, like really good album. I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, this like they have like this melodic punk mixed with emo mixed with like post-hardcore elements, and they all coalesce wonderfully, and they make it like a really gripping and rewarding listen. What do you think then?
Yeah, it's strange that it's 22 minutes, but it's still a pretty heavy listen in itself.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just whiz past. It definitely grabs you by the throat.
Yeah.
So instrumentation really great. Sounds like what you said. It sounds very live. Sounds very raw, very organic. So. And the guest vocals, especially from like Patrick Kingdon of like Self Defense, perfect, because like I like that for both of those vocalists they have that really gritty voice that they have, and to hear both of that side by side was really cool.
Exactly, and like once again big ups to like Nicholas Wong on this album. Like his voice really shines through, and the band sounds really tight. Yeah. They have two other kind of big name vocalists guest starring, Henning Rudolph on a band called Sore Eyelids, and Pontus Carlson from Disembarked. So this band clearly has connections. Yeah.
So how would you rate it?
I'm rating this a 7.5 out of 10. Solid album.
I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 as well.
Nice. Yeah. So check it out on Bandcamp, and if you can, come to their release album launch party this Saturday. And the next album we'll be talking about is called Capsule Sprite by a producer called Buana. Bwana is a very young producer based out of Toronto. Well, he was born in Toronto. He's based in Berlin now after he signed to a label called Aus Music, and he's been releasing like a ton of EPs over the last year or so. In fact, he just released an EP in January, which is really good. And I've been following Buana's career a long time. He has been pegged by his ability to go in wild directions. Like his style has ranged hugely from release to release. Like his first ever track that I ever listened on was called Baby Let Me Finish, which is like a dubstep track with like Sierra sample. Dubstep track with a Sierra sample on top. And lately he released like a progressive house track, which is so
a new album this year, right?
So I mean, he goes from genre to genre, and he's very versatile, and like I like the experimentation. And that spirit of experimentation actually lives on in this particular album, because this is actually a rework of the 1998 film Akira, its soundtrack and its dialogue. And it's actually done really well. What do you think about it then?
Yeah, I totally agree. One thing about Akira, when I watched it, when I finally got around to watching it, because I've known about the movie for a long time, but I always put it away. I never really got to watch it. So when I finally did,
it's one of those defining anime.
Yes, and I think just the fact that it was like a wholly original universe, it's engaging like real human characters. Despite the fact it's an animated movie, like I think just that alone blew me away, and just the fact that they had like this wholly like immersive aesthetic as well. Like that kind of aesthetic, along with like Blade Runner and all these 80s sci-fi films, it's kind of bled into a lot of music that I like, and like Buana has done it really well this time, especially like the samples. So even though some of the songs are not as dynamic as I thought they would be, or as I hope it would be, but I thought that the overall listen is very good. It's kind of like the 3 a.m. going back home from the club kind of listen. Really good stuff.
I think like the album is really swift and sparkling, and it really fits like the Lucky Me vibe, and this is his first release on Lucky Me, which is Jugs Green and Hudson Mohawk's label. And I really like what he's done with the Katsuhiro Otomo work Akira, which is great. And once again, he kind of flitters between styles. They're like skittering beats here and like rain soaked noir kind of thing there, and like club ready 2-step, and there's like even like Berghain style techno. All very fascinating, and it's all of it is mined from like dialogue, music, and sound effects from the film and from the soundtrack, which is wonderful. This is a complete reinterpretation, and it works on every level. Even all the tracks are kind of tied together by like iconic quotes and snippets from like the movie, and like I think the Buana touch is pretty Midas, and I love all the choices that he's made on here. I think this is my favorite album of the year so far.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, how would you rate it then?
Well, okay. If you've never seen Akira, you'll like this album, but if you've seen Akira, you'll love this album.
Yes.
And breaking my 10 out of 10 virginity on Triple R, this is a 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, the first time I've ever rated something.
Okay, I'm gonna 8.10 because I 8 over 10 because I probably I'm definitely not as big follower of Bwana as Hitzer, and it was definitely enjoyable listen for me, but I guess like there were certain points where I really thought that there could have been more variation, but other than that, really enjoyed it as well.
Cool. Oh, I do want to highlight its title track, Capsule Sprite Bikes. Check that out, and then if you like it, listen to the album. Cheers. And the final album that we'll be talking about this week is a compilation from the Philippines called Logiclub X1. As its name implies, it's a compilation of artists and tracks from a really up-and-coming, burgeoning, like super hyped collective in the Philippines called Logiclub. And if you don't know who they are, I kind of equate them as to like their version of Hybrid Theory. Yeah, just because of like how young they are and how universally like consistent their quality is for a bunch of children. So like no offense, like you guys are kids lah. I'm like turning 30 this year, come on. So like we like to talk about like how vibrant the Singapore music scene is, but sometimes like when you look at other regions, you kind of realize we're not there yet. And the Philippines is one of those things, and like I keep hearing about Logiclub all the time thanks to one of our bandwagon staff, Camille, who runs Bandwagon Philippines, and she's been pushing them a great deal. And thanks Camille for putting me onto Logiclub. Hi Camille, because these guys are great. I think what do you think? Then this is.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
A lot of instantly likable tracks. Yeah. Not necessarily anything new, but I have to say the production is definitely consistent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some songs, like the St. Vincent song was a bit repetitive, and
not the American St. Vincent.
Oh yeah, sorry, St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yeah, it's a Filipino artist also called St. Vincent.
Got repetitive after a while, and like Crown's track, like I kind of get the vibe, but it got a bit cliched after a while.
A little Crown seems to be like their crowning achievement, because he pops on a couple of tracks here, his own track, and also I think my favorite track on this is the opening track with Curtismith.
Curtismith.
It's a nice hip hop R&B track, also produced by Crown. It's by LDR, really tight.
Actually, for me, the standouts are like Aries, Kid Thrones, VP, but the best one to me is actually John Pope.
Yeah.
Like that was a very freewheeling, immersive track, and like I love the drums on it especially.
Sure.
But the last one was interesting.
Dante?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounded less electronic and more like Tokyo Hotel and the rest.
I wasn't feeling that one.
I wasn't feeling it as well, but it was just surprising how like it was just kind of tacked at the end.
Sure.
Like everything else is like generally electronic, etc. Then this is like it's out of nowhere.
In fact, I was actually like commenting to myself. Well, I talk to myself all the time. That like I know this is a compilation album, so it's not meant to be cohesive. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by how cohesive it was after the last track.
After the last track, correct.
That's right. Like, huh? What's happening?
Actually, there's this track by Iluin also. Yeah. Like the way he kind of builds it up with the 80s synths, and like later on he just starts experimenting with different instruments as well.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, like, even though everything was consistent, this was electronic heavy, but it was kind of less dancey and more something to do with like funk buttons, which is more experimental, but very interesting stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the artists on here we've actually kind of highlighted on Bandwagon before quite extensively. BP Valenzuela, who's come down to Singapore and played for a couple of our shows before. John Pope played Bandwagon Mix, also check that out. Nino, who I did like a lengthy profile on his career. And
Curtismith was actually a feature on our tour.
That's right, Curtismith as well. So most of these guys we're familiar with, but like the ones that I don't know, like Crown is great, but I would like to see his like larger body of work. Yeah,
and I feel like even though it's good, but at the same time it's kind of derivative. At least for me lah.
I don't know. Yeah, like it might not be seeing his larger body of work, but that's the thing. Like compilation like this is meant to make me intrigued enough to go find out more about him, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. Yeah.
Like you can tell the skill. It's just that I hope this is not his best stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but like I actually like it lah. I like it more than Dan did. I didn't feel it was that derivative, although like a little bit, but not really. So I still really liked it. CRWN.
I mean, like, yeah, like, even though there was some rough spots, overall I really did enjoy this compilation a lot. And
yeah,
you know, yeah, it's a surprisingly cohesive compilation, and there's actually a lot of stuff that surprised me, not just in skill but in ingenuity. So there was a lot of stuff which I've never really heard, you know, outside, I guess. You know, this is stuff that I feel that it's wholly original, so that's definitely interesting stuff.
Actually, like, I do want to point out, like, Crown Strike, like the one featuring Jess Connolly.
Yeah.
Like, that could be a top 40 hit anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That is, it's really super catchy. And maybe that's what you're talking about.
That was the track.
Yeah. Maybe that's what you meant by like derivative, because like a lot of pop hits are like that.
They are like
this. This is a legitimate pop hit. Like, it could be on the radio anywhere, not just the Philippines here, and people will like it.
Okay, so what would you rate it?
It's obviously not consistent because it's a compilation album, and some I like more than others. But on the whole, I really like it, and it shows a like really intriguing glimpse into the Philippines music futures. So I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 8 as well.
Yeah. So we like this compilation, and Logiclub, you guys keep on doing what you're doing, man. And we've come to the end of this episode of Recent Record Reviews. If you like or are interested in checking out any of the records that we were talking about, check out the description box below. We have links for you. And if you have any suggestions for any records that we should review in the future, please drop us a comment. Till next time.
Peace. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe!